Reporter Shay Norling with breaking news here on Cap and J. Hood Shay.
We have some Chicago Bears breaking news, a roster change. They are signing safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the active roster.
Yeah, he was there yesterday working out, and so they got a deal done, and he will be at practice today.
Tommy, what do you think about that?
I think that provides some depth. That doesn't solve their lack of pass rush, but look, they're thin in the secondary, so and they didn't have to spend any draft currency to get him. I don't believe you just signed him, right? So,
that's correct.
Yeah, I got no problem with it.
Yeah, and again, the MASH unit that is on the defensive side of the football, you need able bodies.
Yeah, and look, you're facing a team that when Joe Flacco took over three games ago, they're a top 5 offense over the course of that stretch. They averaged like 390 yards and 30 points per game. And it's not just their passing game, Jonathan. Like for some reason, it helped their running game explode too. So, good luck hanging on in the secondary with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Oshivas and Noah Fant and all kinds of guys running at you down the field. And Joe Flacco, I don't care how old he is, the ball comes out quick and he can still spin it. So if he's healthy, they're going to have their hands full.
I think the key to the game, Tommy, you have got to get pressure up front from your front four. I can't not hear the name Dio Odengbo mentioned at all. I need three pressures is what they got on Snoop Huntley. Now, I know he's way more mobile than either of the guys the Bengals will run out there. If you don't get pressure, I don't know how you win.
Yeah, I'm with. Well, you win by doing what the Jets did. I mean, the Bengals hung 38 on the Jets.
Correct.
The Jets just hung 39 on their defense. I think that they may have to get into a track meet with them as well because there's only so much you're going to be able to do. Jamar Chase is arguably the best receiver in the league, and Joe Flacco has targeted him 18 times a game for the last 3 weeks. 54 targets in 3 weeks.
How about 74 if you count T. Higgins?
Yeah. It's
74 targets in 3 weeks.
It's unbelievable. That's a really, really talented crew. Look, Odengbo, I give him this, and Yurko did a really good job explaining it. He's really will give you effort, like sideline to sideline. There's just, the old saying, don't confuse activity with accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And there's just nothing really consistently there with regard to him getting quarterbacks. And I think I talked to you guys, remember, after the Kansas City preseason game, and I said to you guys, there's a rookie left tackle in Josh Simmons with the Kansas City Chiefs that was playing at the time, and I thought he dominated him. And I thought that was red flag number one. It just hasn't. They haven't been able to generate pass rush from their front four. And look, I wouldn't hold my breath that they're going to get there a number of times because this is not an inexperienced quarterback who's going to take a sack from the blind side because he doesn't know what you're showing him up front with the look. Joe Flacco probably has the quickest release in the NFL because he's scared to death that somebody's going to hit him. Even if you don't sack him, how about this? If you can pressure him to get rid of the ball before he wants to, then you can chip away at his completion percentage, and I think that there's no doubt that would help.
Tommy, I was telling Cap yesterday the metaphor of me playing golf is which I can, if you ask me, hey, Hoodie, I need you to, take the driver and take it 220 yards. It was a big guy, I could do that. But I got no use for the short game. So it's like, okay, well, you could take over because tee to green, I can get it there, but I got the yips around the hole. So same thing with Caleb Williams. I'm really impressed by the scripted 15, 16 plays. But then when you get to the red zone, his short game is not good. I just wonder when you look back at the film, how bad or how mediocre was it on the second look for him in the red zone?
I think it's a combination of things in the red zone. And by the way, you're spot on. Like that's a problem area. They're 5 of 16 in red zone efficiency over the course of the last 4 weeks. That's 31%. That's not good enough. And we all know once you get the ball, they've moved the ball pretty freely this year. But once you get that ball into the money zone, that ball's got to go across the goal line. So, I think it's more about players than it is plays. I just think when you're in a condensed environment, you got to be on your assignments, and you can't commit penalties. And look, I'd like to see Ben be a little bit more creative inside the red zone, especially the deep red zone, and get Caleb out on the edge with some run pass options.
How about Colston Loveland throwing the ball up to that dude?
Yeah, or Cole. It was the one thing. You go back to I hate to do it, but who was the offensive coordinator that came from the Green Bay Packers?
Luke Getsy.
Luke Getsy. Like, I thought the one thing he did do well when he was here was he used his tight end Cole Kmet very creatively in the red zone, and the red zone offense with Justin was really good. I'll take Caleb in this crew now versus that group. I'm not suggesting I'm pining for the old days of that, but I just think that you can find ways to be more creative, especially when you're in the low red zone. Overall, though, Jonathan, I think you're right if that's what you're kind of suggesting. Like, his game against the Ravens wasn't horrible. I mean, he did some nice things. There were some good throws, but I think at this point, just kind of in general terms, guys, he's got to start providing more answers and fewer questions. He's got to start being more part of the solution than part of the problem, and when you look back and you see he threw for 285 yards, but then you're like, 60 of those came with 2 minutes to go, down 14. You're like, well, the stats don't really tell the story. Completion percentage went up. There were some good things, but I'm not expecting him to be great. I think we can shelve that conversation and have that at a later time, but I don't think it's irrational to expect him to be good at this point. They drafted him first overall to be good. They've littered his huddle with talented players. You brought Ben in. I think we've gotten to the point where now what we want is him to be consistently good, not a guy that you win every Sunday because of. Hopefully that's who he will be. But right now, he can't be a reason why you're not scoring more than 16 points, if that makes sense.
Waddle question for you.
Okay.
Bears had 11 more penalties the other day. They are the second most penalized team in the NFL. They have 20-plus pre-snap penalties, one of the 3 or 4 worst in the National Football League. You, as a football observer, know that is unsustainable. Combine that with you can't live on 4 takeaways a game.
Yep.
And your quarterback throws a terrible interception in the deep end, your own end. How do you fix these penalty issues? Because Ben Johnson basically washed his hands of it the other day when he said, look, we've been screaming as a staff since training camp. I put it on my leadership team now. The top guys, the veterans, they got to get it fixed.
Yeah,
how does that happen?
I think it's got to be a collective effort, honestly. And you're right to address your point. Like, it's unacceptable, first off. And I think the coach did say this as well. Look, the pre-snap penalties are completely unacceptable. That is being dialed in. It's being prepared. It's being ready. It's being smart. It's being all of the things that are mandatory. You're going to get called for a hold every now and again if you're a left guard or a left tackle or a pass interference. Some of the stuff while the play is going on is going to happen. But the pre-snap stuff, they're just not good enough, guys, to overcome these self-inflicted wounds. So, I think the coaching staff still has to be. It's like hey, you jump offside in practice, and the coach just turns his head and walks away and waits for one of the other players to smack you in the back of the helmet. Like, it's got to be a collective problem-solving situation. I always felt, guys, like, I didn't want to be the guy in the meeting room that was the weak link, was the reason why this play didn't work. And I think that would be my message if I was in the room and I was a veteran. I was like, guys, physical mistakes going to happen. Mental mistakes are unacceptable, and you're taking food off of all of our tables by doing this. And if we can't depend on you and we can't rely on you, then at some point, guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to be taken off the field, and you're not going to be working with us any longer. You can't do that right now because they're not a finished product. Like when Theo Benedict, flinches for the 10th time, what are you going to, all right, Theo, we're going to take you off the field. No, wait a second. We just replaced our left tackle with you. So, you're not in the point, you're not at the stage in your development where you can bench guys, but I think that it's got to start with the player, and the player's got to have the pride in himself. And the last thing you want to be is the guy that's circled on the tape on Monday when the team gets together.
Tommy, can you explain, please, the first half and the second half at the end? I just thought that from a coaching and an execution standpoint, it was just poor. Just the idea that you have to have a hurricane scenario where the special teams has to come out, try to kick the football with no timeouts. And then at the end of the game, just the way how scattershot that was. How'd you look at those two plays? Because I just thought all of it was just bad.
I think that, first of all, you got a coach, a first-time head coach. So, I'm sure he would cop to needs to get better at some of it. I think, Jonathan, their situational awareness as a team is really low. And that's one of the issues. Like you talk about the penalties, that's got to get cleaned up. That's discipline. Situational awareness, and the coach mentioned those two words in his press conference the other day as well. Not just that. Let's go through a list of some of the stuff that kind of, identifies whether or not you're making smart plays. Let's go back to the Saints game, where Caleb, as your quarterback, and unfortunately you play that position, the spotlight's going to be on you. There were a couple of situations where I thought he passed up the opportunity to make plays with his legs. To me, that's situational awareness. Wants to throw the ball instead of taking what the defense is giving you. And I think that, we saw him kind of improve on that. On that play where he tucks and runs, he's got to get out of bounds, Jonathan. Like, you got to preserve your timeouts. Like, you've got to be aware where you're at on the field and the situation you're in. Is it asking a lot? Yeah, but too much is given, much is expected. Go back to the interception. You have to know situational awareness, time and place. You're 5 yards deep in your own end zone. The last thing you can do is try to make a Superman throw. First of all, it's a bad read, but then you're trying to squeeze a ball into a spot that it shouldn't go. Know where you're at. Know that when the corner backs off, the right throw and the only throw is to the flat. Situational awareness. You also have to get rid of the intentional grounding penalties. Was one of them sketchy from the refs? Maybe so, but the other one was obvious. So I guess in a long way, Jonathan, what I'm saying is these situational awareness issues have to be addressed, and you're 100% right. They rear their ugly head, whether it's in the red zone or at the end of a half or at the end of a game. How in the world are you? And the coach copped to this too. You can't run that sneak if time is not on your side, because the players are going to be laying on your quarterback. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, like, the decision to run that particular play, just not good. You have to have a sense of urgency. So I think as a team and as a quarterback and as a coach, there's situational awareness in the areas that need to be improved were on full display in Baltimore.
Tell us where you're going to be in Cincinnati.
I'm going to be everywhere. We're going to be downtown for a good portion of it.
Sharonville?
No, Sharonville is about 13 miles outside the city.
Well, that's not like I'm asking you to fly to France.
No, but that's my hometown. Really, there's nothing going on there. We're not doing
I'd like
the show.
A picture in front of your old casa. It's a big estate out there.
Well, back at the old place, you walk on someone's property without their permission, you're asking for trouble, Cap. So I'll take a picture from the street for you, but I don't know who lives in that house right now.
Well,
so
why would you not ring the doorbell with Sylvie?
Oh, God.
And we're back where little Tommy grew up. Is there a chance I could just take a look at the house? I'm Tom Waddle. They'd be like, Tom Waddle? One of the most famous people in the history of Sharonville, Ohio.
To your question, Jonathan, maybe my brother lives in the Mount Adams area, so we may hang out there a little bit. We may find our way into the Jeff Ruby Steakhouse down there. So we're do a lot. We'll
Jeff Ruby's awesome, and your brother must be doing very well. Mount Adams is a beautiful area.
Actually, it was really tasty. Jack Ruby Steakhouse, very good.
No, they only serve lead.
It's very good. And you're going to be broadcasting from one of the area bars, correct?
That is correct. I wish I had the name. You know what? If you give me one quick second, sure. I will tell you. We are at the Holy Grail Tavern and Grill on Friday. And then we're doing the show, the pregame show from Kitty's Sports Grill. On Sunday.
Wow.
So
hello, Kitty.
We may even, Jonathan, we may even travel across over the river into northern Kentucky. I think it's a little bit better these days in Covington and Newport than when I grew up.
Wow, that's where our friend Lance McAllister, voice of the Bengals, lives.
Yeah, Covington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Remember being in a strip club there. The lady, you could tell where the equator was on her stomach.
Wow.
As always.
I can't claim to have visited the same establishment, but I can only imagine it wasn't pleasant.
Warm PBR and an equator stomach.
Waddle and I were at the Final Four in Indianapolis, and our producer,
All right.
his name was Steve Buckman. He got thrown out of the strip club there. Remember? Filato had to get him out of it.
I don't recall that.
Oh,
God.
oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But warm beer and the equator. Don't forget about that, Tommy.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Wow.
Tommy, thank you very much for your time.
All right, fellas, have a great day.